Welcome to the Reedstrom Real Estate Podcast, a show exclusively for us, place operators and agents. Every week, I sit down with the top performers inside Place and extract exactly what's working, the production systems, the recruiting plays, the growth decisions, specific to our model, specific to our tools, specific to the business you're already building. I'm Kyle Reedstrom, operator of Place Team 448. Welcome to the best conversation in real estate. Hello and welcome to the Reedstrom Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, of course, Kyle Reedstrom, and I am here with Ryan Hanson of the Ryan Hanson Homes Team at Place. Ryan, thanks for coming on the show today.
Appreciate the invite, Kyle.
We're excited to chat. As you guys know, this is the show where we talk exclusively about the Place model. We're talking with operators at Place. We're talking with agents at Place. We want to get the details on how people are running this playbook, how they're doing this specific model, and we want to get into the weeds on exactly what's working, what's not. You know, we're all running the same playbook, Ryan. I like to use this analogy. In the NFL, everybody's playing the same game, right? But everybody plays it just a little different in order to get an advantage, or not necessarily beat the other Place teams, but really beat what the market's doing and other real estate teams out there. And I think that what you've done with some of the notes I have on the conversation today, I'm really excited to talk about, like how you've been doing it, how long you've been doing it. But before we get going, Ryan, I'm curious. I want to hear your take on the future of Place. We're almost starting. Sometimes I ask this at the end, but like you've been at Place for 4 years now, and you obviously saw something when you decided to move your team there. And in being there and then looking at even the next 4 years at Place, I want to get your perspective. Like, where is this going? Is this the future? Is Place where real estate is headed? What's your opinion on that?
It's not the only way to get there. Every industry sees consolidation. And so, like, people didn't move off the farms and into the city because they necessarily loved the city. Like, they had somewhere they needed to be. I'm a car person. There used to be a gajillion car manufacturers, and then they get down to like the big three, right? And so I don't think Place is the only way to succeed. I think it's the best way to succeed. That's why we partnered with them. But several years ago, I was speaking at an event, and I remember the question they asked me. It was kind of like the Monday morning quarterback. What would you do differently knowing what you know now, right? What would your you today tell you on the day you started in real estate? And I said, like, I would have started a team sooner, right? So I like numbers. I like challenges. So when they say you should hire an assistant as soon as you're helping 30 people a year, I waited till I got to 85. Hey, you should start a team when you get to that 50 or 60 units because you need the leverage. I'll wait till we get to 200. And so I just thought about that. And so when they asked me that question, what would you do differently, knowing what you know now, being in real estate for, I think it was probably 15 years, whatever at that time, I go, I wouldn't wait so long to partner again. And so I'm not a hypocrite. I do what I say I'm going to do. And so as we're facing these challenges in the industry, I was like, you know, that line just kept haunting me. Like, what would I do differently? Why? Is it a pride thing where all of a sudden if somebody says you can do it, well, I can go, we're all going to hit a ceiling of achievement. Do I really want to be known as the person that hit it going the fastest? Like, there's no benefit to that. And so when we looked at partnership and what that looked like, when we joined a brokerage, and I've been at a couple brokerages, what was the value proposition that we were looking to get through that? And so other than marriage, Place has been the best partnership I've ever been in. I've had lots of great partners and things that didn't last a long time. But in our conversations, we realized like that's what we needed as a true partner. I don't know all the things that I need, all the things that are going to need to be solved. Because if I'm solving only for the challenges I know about today, I'm not planning for the future. My goal is to avoid the pitfalls, not just fall in every one of them and have somebody with a friendly face and a handout pull me out. I need to avoid those pitfalls because I don't want to experience that much pain. So why we partnered with Place and why I think it's will be one of the big three or solutions to the challenge that everyone's trying to solve is because they're solving those bigger problems and helping us as business owners deliver on the promises we've made to our people and our teams and the promises we made to our clients in order to help them get from where they are to where they want to go.
Man, I think I'm seeing the same theme. I have not been partnered with Place very long, but I'm seeing this theme in my life, Ryan, where when I have a great partnership, it's funny how the business seems to be succeeding as I look at the businesses that I'm a part of, and I go, wait, maybe I'm not the direct, maybe I'm not the common theme here. Maybe having a strong partner in these ventures, especially with our real estate team at Place, is the recipe to success, because I don't know what I don't know. And you alluded to this idea of like, I maybe would have done this sooner if I could do it over again. I think there's a lot of people that are maybe listening to this, watching this, that are feeling that. I don't know where that comes from in us as agents and team leaders, but like we just kind of feel like we have to overprove it before we adopt the leverage or the partnership. Why do you think you held back? Like, was it ego? Was it, why did you wait so long, and go into that a little bit deeper?
Two things that I focused on a lot over the last 2 or 3 years, but I joined Chris's ex-MBA. So we joined Place, and then I did the ex-MBA and metrics all in 1 year. So I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to drink from the fire hose. And in that, Chris had us read a book called The Long Game by Dory Clark. And that one really impacted me. It's like, I have a high sense of urgency. I want everything faster now. Like I see the EOS in the background. I'm a visionary, but I do have a high level of integrator as well. And so I can do the details if I need to, but I like flying at 30,000 feet better. And so what that long game, like, it was my impatience causing the chaos in my life, that if I would just give something, if I took the timeline away, right? So like if you're doing an event or doing something, all of a sudden the Jeopardy music starts or the little sand dial starts, like, does that raise my tension? Like, if I just take that pressure off, because we know that we can accomplish things, but I always think they're going to go better, sooner, faster. And when they don't, I get frustrated, and then I, quit or get distracted with another shiny thing. So the two things that I've really been working on are pride. So you said ego, and that timeline. And so if I release some of that timeline and let that sense of urgency, the problems we're trying to solve are not going to get done all at one time. Ben talks about, as a leader, is not putting out all the fires, but it's determining which ones are going to burn the house down. And then you could show up the next day and take care of the next fires that could burn it down. And so letting that patience kind of go in, like, is this just my high sense of urgency? And there's a difference between emergency and urgency. And so if I just give things a little bit more time, am I going to be able to solve some of those bigger problems? And am I the bottleneck? Almost always I am. Like, I am not the best one. I tell people in most events, most things we're doing, I said, just so you know, I suck at almost everything. And that's to your benefit, because I'm past the denial state. Because people who think they're good at everything, chances are they're not good. They're not an expert at any one thing. And so what Place has done, what our team has done, is be able to assemble experts, people that know more and more about less and less. We can cover the wide band of what our clients, what our teams need, what our operators and agents need, because we've assembled the experts.
When you decided to make that, and Ryan, that was really good. I wrote down, is my impatience causing the chaos? I think that was really key, because it's the idea of slowing down to almost go faster or farther. When you take yourself back, like when you finally made that decision and you had some of this impact, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. What were some of the fastest? What was some of the most impactful things right away in partnership that you remember feeling when you partnered with Place?
Well, it seemed like it happened fast, but that's because I do an enormous amount. People who know me know I like numbers because they take away emotion. So I read all the details. And so when I learned that the only thing holding us back was this is going to cost me a lot. We hear that all the time. whether it's an
Yes.
agent looking to join the team and, it's a split or whatever it is. But when I realized that, I don't want to be a hypocrite. When I go into a listing appointment, I want to fully believe that we are the best ones for that position. And so when I learned the value proposition, the things that Place offered that I wasn't going to be able to do on my own, and the only thing keeping us from that partnership was either money or my ego, I couldn't go back to our team members and say, join our team, stay on our team. We're going to create a world big enough so that you never have to leave us, when I knew it wasn't true.
Yes. That's that's very insightful. And when I made the decision to switch, Ryan, I was really struggling with it and I didn't know why. And when I took myself completely out of it and said, what's best for the team and what's best for the brand and the company and our clients long-term, it was overwhelmingly the answer was place. But then I put myself back in. It's like, oh, cost and profit, and then I knew, oh, wait, this is the wrong lens I'm looking through. So then taking myself out, which is an amazing feeling as a business owner. Anybody listening to this that's an operator or even an aspiring operator, isn't that what our goal is with having a team? Like, we want to have peace in our business. What's your level of peace in your business, Ryan? Is that something that Place added to your life as well in partnership? Because that's one of my answers when people ask me what's going on with the Place thing.
Well, like, I live life like as that Place partnership. I think about it a lot as those, I don't even remember which credit card commercial, but they do the thing, priceless. And so when people are trying to break down, what is this worth? Well, here's this split, or I could get in-house counsel, I can get health insurance, I can get this, I can get that, and I think I can do this for 4.8% less. Like, you're missing the pieces. Like, this is what partnership looks like. Here's where I don't know where to go. So one of our value, like our big pillars, was this leadership loneliness. I'm responsible for making sure other people, I'm the provider. And so first I was the provider for myself. Then I was the provider for my wife. Then I was the provider for my wife and kids. And then I was provider for other people that I'd made promises to. Then I was provider for our team members. Like, it takes a lot as a toll as a leader who wants to excel at that position and deliver on the promises that they've made to people, to go to bed at night knowing that they did the best they could and the best that could be done. A lot of people work really hard and say, oh, I'm giving it my best. Yeah, but life doesn't hand out participation awards. And so people aren't going to achieve the goals that you said that you were going to partner with them to help them accomplish without doing more than you could do. Like, most of us have done everything that we could do, and that got us to where we are. And so if you want to go further than where you currently are today, you're going to probably need a person, a process, and maybe some prayers in there too. Mm-hmm. And so bringing in those other people has just that leadership loneliness, and knowing like, hey, this is what I thought was, I thought I was on the right track. And now I can really I can go to bed knowing that. I can be really assured. What I've loved about Place is that it was about 90% of what we were already pointed towards already.
Yes.
I don't have to have our team members go to a Place event and go, that those 3 minutes at the beginning were great, and that part in the middle was pretty awesome, and that other part. But just so you know, like, been doing this for 20 years, and I've learned that this doesn't work in our market. This doesn't work. That could work, but you could do it better. I love that they can just go and do it and learn, and we all speak the same language. Yes,
seriously. They're submitting to the model. I love the quote that it's a model, not a menu. That's the game. Just do the work. And by the way, it's proven.
Right.
I want to backtrack a little bit and give the audience a taste of what your business looks like. Give us the rundown, agents, operations, and then just a rough, like, hey, what's the volume looking like for you midway through 2026?
Well, I got my Brivity up so that I could tell you in real time.
Let's go.
It's always interesting as a team owner because people always say, well, how many agents on your team? And I'm like, well, I haven't checked in for an hour. I'm not positive what that could be. We just had a new team member join yesterday, so the rest of the team hasn't even met him yet. So we're excited about that. So we've got 10 agents, and we've got an expansion agent. So I grew up, my wife and I, high school sweetheart. She runs the operations side. I'm the director of sales on our team and still in production. And so we've got 10 agents, and we cover an area from Fargo, Moorhead area. We have an expansion agent, Kayla in Detroit Lakes. And then we work about 6 counties. I'm in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, a town of 15,000 people. And so we cover that area. And then we've got one of the value props that we were really looking for. So that leadership loneliness, we wanted that. We wanted personnel staff is just really hard. And so we had hired some VAs before. And so it went okay, but it was like a 1 + 1 = 1 3/4 relationship. And so we just never really sustained that. So we've had between 3 and 4 Brivity VAs ever since joining place. And that's been a phenomenal partnership. And then we have a director of operations. Like the hiring process has been phenomenal through place. So I can't tell you enough how, we've had a few different hires like everyone does in running a business. And so, I mean, we've had as many as 5,000 applicants for some of our, director of operations and other things. And so for Police Partnership to be able to help us weed through all those opportunities so that we're maybe interviewing 15 or 10 to find the greatest people.
Wow.
So they just helped us with our director of operations, Bonnie, who's in Gilbert, Arizona, is awesome. And so we've got a client care coordinator, Becky, and like I said, my wife, Maria, who runs the operations side of the team, is also a co-operator. So she's the one that keeps us all pointed in the right direction. And then we've got Megan, who's our marketing specialist as well.
Wow, that's amazing. I hope people were listening to that. There's a lot of places I could go with that, but thank you for laying that out. What's that production look like? What are you thinking this year, Ryan, for that team?
Yeah. So right now I'll give you a real time, which I also love. I love the numbers, but they used to get updated like monthly on an Excel spreadsheet. So, I mean, even when we started at Place, they weren't everything all in one place. So now I've got them open at all times. So as it stands, we've closed 148 for a $48 million volume. We've got 55 pending for 16 million. And our goal is 400. It's a possibility. The most our team has ever done is 330. Last year we did 299 as far as the number of units.
Wow. So you guys went in for 30% increase going into 2026 is what I'm hearing.
We're built for more.
Let's go.
All the systems are in place. The people are there. The agents are experienced and feeling good.
Wow, that's really cool. I want to go right back to some of the notes I was taking when you're talking about your team. You just hired a new agent, just started one. Talk me through the nuts. Talk me through the nuts and bolts on how you found that agent. Was it a Brivity recruiter? Was it sphere of influence? I always like to hear how did that agent come to be on your team?
Yep. So that was a Brivity recruiter. And then I know Ben and I've had this conversation several times just about our influence is more than you think. And so, it's like, I think of the world through the eyes of a listing agent because I've been doing real estate for 22 years. And I just identified early on that I could go find those people or I could have what they want. And I'm going to increase my likelihood that they're going to come to me. Now, it's not like I'm going to just sit here and gather it. But when I started, there were agents in the office that got phone calls because people wanted to go talk to them about real estate instead of having to hunt every single one of them down. And those were the people that had signs on the ground. So ever since that time, I have focused on how do we get properties listed so that we can have people also coming to us. We have what they want. And so controlling the inventory allows you to control the conversations. So my whole world has always been focused on how do we get those listings. So for us, that's what we've been focused on is getting those listings in order to be able to have those conversations.
So tell me more about that because we're talking about this. You used Brivity Recruiter for this agent, but this is you just ran the model for hiring a new agent? Hey, job ads out there.
This is Bonnie. So as a process, we're constantly working through it. So Bonnie, this is the first or second conversation probably she's had through that process. So just like with listings, it's like we have what they're looking for.
Yep.
Most listings, they're going to call you and say, well, I talked to this person, but I also heard you through this, and this. Like there's usually more than one way. And so it's just like when we often will change the source in brevity for any conversation we're having because, oh, it's a call in. Yeah, but why did they call in? Like that's the method they called in. That was the way they connected, but is that really the source? And
Nice.
so here, this was a brevity recruiter lead. And so we went through the process and Bonnie did the initial interview, and then Maria, our director of operations and co-operator, did the second one, and then I did the career guide one after that. But he knew us; it's that sphere, right? So
That's
hey,
okay.
you're in the area, like I know of you, and so yes, I saw lots of other people's ads and things out there, but the reason I recognize the name, I've seen some signs. It's a new agent but already licensed, and so it's a combination of those things. It's the ad and seeing it and being present, being responsive, right? So
Yes.
just making sure we go reach out to them, but our influence is a lot more than we think. Even if I'm in little towns or little communities, inevitably they've heard from other people what hey, these people are great in real estate, whether it's to sell your home, to work with them in buying, or people want to are attracted to success.
Yeah, and that's a classic example of applying a system with the things you've already created, which is your reputation, which is the mind share that was already in that new agent. But maybe in the past, I can even think of this in my world, there may be where I missed on that opportunity because the system wasn't applied. The job posting wasn't online when the timing was right for them, which now Brevity Recruiter's helping our team consistently have opportunities for people, because we really do always have opportunities for the right people. But now it's actually online so someone could take action. Now it's actually on social media so someone can actually click the button if the timing's right. Now they're getting followed up with quickly, like we do in real estate for listings or buyers. We're treating that the same way, instead of, oh, we're kind of hiring, but it's kind of on my back burner and we'll get to it whenever, right? You have systems where people are actually moving through the process and filtering through the funnel. How many agents could us operators be missing out on that could really impact our teams and our goals, and their life could be impacted if we were just at that level of competence that we're achieving in partnership? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's untapped. And it is another muscle. So this is where at the beginning I talked about like the pride and patience piece. The pride piece is it's very difficult, if I'm honest with myself, to be very good at something that I can just run on autopilot. Like I've done the math and I've worked a lot of hours and been very intentional in the thing. And so I've worked, I think by the end of this year, I'll probably have spent close to 70,000 hours focused on real estate. And most of that is helping people buy and sell property. And so, working on my leadership skills over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been much more intentional about that. But on the scope of my recruiting skills, there's a reason I'm going to Founders Circle, in a couple of weeks, because on the scope of those things, you could wake me up in the middle of the night. I could probably go list that house, but I could go prep for 3 or 4 hours and still fumble my way through a recruiting conversation.
Yes.
Like this wasn't me just being awesome on the career guide, because I've done that maybe 100, 125 times with a person at the absolute most. And realistically, I probably only nailed that maybe 10 or 15 times.
Yeah.
And so it's the reps. Chris and Ben talk about it, and it's the real thing. But we're salespeople. And so when I think about that, most of the time I'm selling myself on the idea that I did better than I thought. Nikki talked on the partner call last week about if we were recording what we're doing.
Yes.
Oh, no, I know I nailed it. Yeah, in your head, because I'm a salesperson. And I think most of us think we do better through life than we really did.
That's really good. And the environment that I'm addicted to is a guy like you that's been in for 2 decades, 7, like you say, hours and hours, thousands of hours, but we're still, we come humbly in humility to get better at the different things. We're sharpening the sword constantly, and the environments exist where you can go to a founder's circle and focus on a specific thing that's going to add to your game. I think that that's just so powerful. Going back to team structure, I thought it's very interesting. You now have a director of ops, Bonnie, and she's not local. You know, I'm still constantly learning, being new to place. So this idea of your team and your operations expanding far beyond Fergus is like, whoa, you know, that expands my mind a little bit. But the systems are built for your director of ops to be remote. That's what I'm hearing here, and that's the way you guys have this set up. Can you go into that?
Yeah, it didn't happen immediately like that, but it was a COVID thing.
Okay.
So I had the same executive assistant worked. I mean, we were in the same elbow to elbow office together for 5 or 6 years before COVID. And then she went to go work from home, and I worked, you know, so she was 5 miles away, but we only saw each other in person then, you know, maybe once a week. And
Yes.
so that allowed us to figure out, well, which things had to be done versus what are the most important things? So on the big rocks, what are, you know, on the SOPs for that position, what are the things that we really have to do versus the things that are just convenient or would be nice? And so we identified that 95% of the things that we really needed, I would rather have somebody that is phenomenal operating, knocking out those most important things, and we can go work around some of those other things that can only be done in person. And so would it be nice to have some of these other things? Sure. But being able to find somebody like Bonnie and Megan before her that had the skill set and the, you know, what we needed for our biggest things, if they're going to, you know, my whole county has 60,000 people. Like, how many people are we going to go find with the level of experience that we need? And to be able to, we found lots of great humans. We just didn't find lots of great fits.
Yes. And that opened up your hiring pool, like you said, which is a limiting belief a lot of us operators have, is we can only pull from our backyard. Whereas you went and put out a job nationally, is what I'm hearing, right?
Yes.
Like you
we
were
started locally.
applicants. Okay.
So we're just like, oh, what can we get? We get a few people that, you know, I can't work these hours and I can't do this and I can't do that. I'm like, well, if we start the relationship with the I can'ts, we're probably not going to get as far into the I cans or I want to as I would really like. And so we did it locally, you know, for 2 to 4 weeks, got 3 or 4, you know, kind of applicants. And then all of a sudden we opened it up and then we have thousands. So I would much rather pick from the thousands of better opportunities for the 95% of the things that we need than to choose someone that can do, you know, is just happens to live closer to where we are or willing to drive.
You know, and we've just jumped into the Brivity VA world, and you've said you've consistently carried Brivity VAs as part of your operations as well. Can you just jump into that, like specifically maybe? It sounds like maybe they're more specialized in specific areas, or are they full-time, part-time? What does that look like?
Yeah, so maybe it's just me, but I'd mentioned I have a high sense of urgency, like to move fast. And so I didn't necessarily plug a lot of holes. I did what I called house math. If I had a problem, we'd just go sell another house, and that would always solve the problem. Until you sell enough houses where you're like, I still have problems, even though I'm selling more houses than most people I know. And so when you slow down, you're like, you don't have to bail so much water when you plug a few of those holes. And so when we started looking at it and getting systematized instead of just moving fast, like, what does that look like? So on the offense defense piece, instead of just selling more houses, looking at our P&L and looking at, hey, our largest percentage of the money outflow is the people, and we love people. We're always going to invest in great people. But as a business, we used to be in the bottom 5 average sale prices of all place partners. We need to run a very efficient business because there is not a lot of margin for error. So when we did our P&Ls and put that together and go like, yeah, we have phenomenal people, great humans, and they allow us to be like, we have a very high productivity per agent. So like, hey, this is where we want to invest. Yeah. And you're going to have to sell a lot more houses, or you're going to have to really up your price point in order to be able to maintain that. Because we've got some other partners. This is where that leadership and that confidence and the partnership comes in. We've got other people that are able to do that number of units or this many things with at a lot lower percentage with their staffing. And so I could either use the excuse when you're not running the same playbook to say, well, yeah, but we have a lower price point, and so that doesn't work here. But when you can actually break down the numbers and go through our financial calls every month and say, hey, can you break me out the data for other teams that are in this price point or this many years at place or this many years in their business, and be able to say, take the emotion out and just tell me exactly what that looks like. And so we've gotten, we'd had months where our staffing was up to 21% pre-place, and then we were 17 or 18%. And now we're down at about 13. Would I love to get down to 11? Sure. But now we feel like we've got our staffing about in place where we need it to be. So we replaced one in-person position with 3 VAs. And so we are capable of leveraging. A lot of times we were really good when everything was running perfectly. And then someone got sick, and then someone was gone on a Friday in the summer when we had a lot of closings and all the things, and realized that, when the stars aligned, we were nailing it, but there's no guarantee that the stars are always going to align. So having a deeper bench and having 3 people that can fill in means that we're never going to get that far off of perfection.
Wow. That's so, we all designed to the optimal perfect vision. And
because we're optimists, we're entrepreneurs. Otherwise we wouldn't get up and do this thing.
It's why people golf. You hit one shot out of 100 that's good, and you keep coming back for more, chasing that one. So like transaction coordination, is that in person or VA, or is it like assisted by VA?
It's all VA. So we have a transaction coordinator for VA, so the contract to close. And that was an in-person position, pre-place. And then I had an executive assistant that was in person. That one we've been doing VA. So she's our floater. And so Ella's great. And so
Ella just solves problems in a variety of ways for you on a weekly basis.
And she's the translator. It's not that I can't learn new things, but like I used to have this iterative effect. And so I would figure out what things were working, and I tend to test things more quickly than other people. Because I might go on 3-4 listing appointments in a day. There's things that I'm going to learn. Hey, let's use this form. Let's streamline this. I like efficiency. So I tend to not do anything unless I can do it at least 100 times. And so as I'm doing those things, I'm going to learn, hey, here's the bottleneck. Here's this. What can we do in 3 steps that somebody's currently thinking we need 10? I'm not going to throw everything out, but I'm okay being at a 90 to 95% with a lot fewer steps involved, because there's just less chance of something breaking down. I've gotten better at saying I'm sorry than saying this is perfect. And so I want to make sure we can do that, and that's scalable. So Ella is the translator if we're working through new things, like, hey, we've got the systems in place, but we're not going to change it for everyone yet. We're going to do it. She'll translate it to work it into our current system. And then as soon as we've identified, hey, this is a newer, better, more efficient, it's usually tweaking, not throwing everything out. And so she's the translator into our current system. And then when it works, then Maria and Bonnie, we can go implement those changes, and how is that going to work for the entire team?
Okay. And then, any other missing pieces with your VAs, like marketing? Are they doing any of the marketing stuff, or is that more of your in person?
So Maria does a lot of our marketing. And so she's the co-operator. And I think this is one of the things, most of the place operators that I know of are, we're the main sales agent. They started as a single, individual agent and grew a team, and then kind of tried to backfill with the systems. Yes. And so maybe those are the ones that I've talked to. I don't know what you've seen or who you've talked to, Kyle.
Yep. No, I would agree.
And so that operations person is for sure, I feel like, the person that's missing. And so, having that director of operations, I think it is one of the things that makes our team super unique, is that we have someone that was from the beginning, helped building that piece out. And so, we're blessed for that. I'm known as the person that sells a bunch of houses, but the reason is because we've got such great systems in place where we don't have to think about it. We just execute the plan. And so Maria's the one that makes sure on the operations side, does this make sense? Is it scalable? How is this going to be communicated to the other people? Like, I got to slow down long enough to be able to make sure everyone understands where we're going, not just, hey, follow me, leave a big wake, and pick up the pieces as we fly by.
Man, I'm glad you touched on that operations and director of operations, because I think you're completely right. I think most of the operators are going to lead from a standpoint of a strong sales business and backfill, like you said. And it's easy to stay ignorant. I was reading scripture today that the fool is just ignorant, has a closed mind and closed eyes. It's easy to stay ignorant of the support that you might need in your business. And when you're at place, it is very relevant. They have an entire launch. They have an entire meeting rhythm. They have entire scoreboards, and they're part of contests. It's in the DNA of like, hey, you keep putting operations here and sales here at place. We put them here, if not here, in order to run a really great business. And by the way, that's the model. And so it's been very convicting. I've been filled with conviction around the operations because we're sliding into operations, like you said, after, we're recovering sales business, trying to turn into more operational and systems. You know what I mean? So that's such an interesting perspective, and something that I think a lot of people listening are going to, I don't know, maybe feel the same conviction I feel when I'm understanding more about that operational role. So Ryan, I love stories on the show here. And one story that you'd shared before our show is that you actually had the experience of an agent that had left your team and later came back. And the reason being, much of the model of place. And I'm curious to hear how that story went, and being surrounded in an environment where people are actually running a model, running a playbook, achieving a high level of success and volume, doing the thing each day. I think people notice that of place teams. I think people in my area are noticing, like, these guys are I know what they're doing every day, and they're doing the thing. And so when I'm out golfing or my business is doing the roller coaster, I know the Midwest Invest team is doing the thing. And then you actually had that magnetism back from an agent that had left for whatever reasons. I'd love you to share that story.
Yeah, and this just happened this last month. And so one, make sure that, like, when I talk about a real estate transaction, we always look at there should be 4 people that win. They don't always have to win equally or in the same order, but it should be the buyer, the seller, and the listing agent, and the buyer's agent. Like, I play in a very small pond, and so I know that I'm likely going to be running up against that same agent again. So if for no other reason, even from the self-serving standpoint, if you want your clients to win in the future, then don't treat the other agent like an idiot. The other reason I've learned is that we know that 85% of people that get into real estate aren't going to be in real estate 5 years from now. You know who a phenomenal referral source is? A real estate agent, because they ask good questions. They know some things. So I've had some great agents that got out of business in real estate and got into financial planning. And so I have one, past agent that sends 4, 5, 6 referrals a year. Wow. This morning, I did a 7 a.m. listing appointment because I had a busy Friday, and that's the only time he was going to be in town. He got out of real estate 20 years ago, and he just remembered. He's like, this is my mom's place. And so you just, treated me with respect. Nothing special. Just You didn't make me feel stupid as we were both new agents. I liked working with you on the other side. You're still in business. People are still saying good things about you, and you've just been consistent. So you were nice to me. You're still here. I'm going to trust you with my special people. So having other real estate agents in that relationship is really, really important. So this one in particular, we just weren't in that market. Like, our world hadn't grown fast enough. And so we happened to have 3 agents that year who were great people, but they went somewhere else because our world hadn't gotten big enough. So when we talk about, well, I don't really want to recruit, I don't know. I mean, there's maybe some people that were born for that. That's just not that's not my natural thing. So that's a muscle I have to work and be extra intentional about it, because it's not just going to happen if I'm not purposeful about it. And so now that our world has gotten bigger in the last, 5, 6, 7 years from when they were not on our team, uh, we've we've kept in contact, talked, but nothing serious. Like, it wasn't a great parting, and it wasn't like, hey, kick you and go out the door, but it was just kind of like, meh. And they'd gone and done other things, and then we could see what that agent was doing. They could see what we were doing. And then, just as we both matured and grew and expanded, our value proposition increased, and their desire and I don't want to say maturity, but just like looking for different things, right? Like, all of a sudden, realizing that who you surround yourself makes an enormous impact on what you're going to achieve. And so,
Yeah,
I tell people a lot. Well, go ahead.
No, well, I was going to say I think some of the words you're saying around like just consistency and being in it, and people watch. It's sometimes we think people aren't watching that, and the fact is, it is on stage for people to understand. Hey, you're still doing that thing 20 years from now, Ryan. Hey, help me out. Like, I remember when this was new for you too, but look at you. And there's this kind of subtle respect with that, but then, you've gone up, down, all around in your journey with this. And then those come back around, especially like an agent watching. Man, it's just refreshing to think that the pain when someone leaves your team might not be the final chapter of that partnership, and if you're still in the game and you're still trying to grow, man, I think of some names and some faces that I would welcome back the conversation. Of course, our model and our world has changed a little bit, but I would definitely welcome that conversation instead of just writing it off. It's the same when a client maybe works with another agent. You say, oh, I'll never work with them again. And how that client sometimes comes back around on a future transaction or an investment property or a lake place. It's like, wow, shame on me for thinking relationship was dead because of one misstep, whether it be on my part or theirs,
That's, to me, where the pride thing comes in again. And that's why the topic just keeps coming. Like, I think pride and patience at least 20 times in my head. Chris has taught us a lot about different mental models. And so I need things that I can run through a filter fairly quickly as I'm just in the moment thinking and working through things. And so, did they leave? Oh, well, they were never going to be a great agent anyway, or they just weren't following the rules. They weren't to me, that really is the pride piece. Ben asked the question, where's my DNA in this? And so as a leader, I'm constantly asking that question. So it's only the last chapter of the book if you shut the book.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Ryan, I want to, we have you on the show with a unique perspective. I think a lot of people that maybe are even listening to this haven't been at place for 4 years, and they haven't had the time on task in this model that maybe we have the benefit of listening to you here. So I want to hear how you're specifically leveraging this model. Like you mentioned, you're going to Founder Circle. There might be people like, I haven't been able to get to a Founder Circle yet. Like, that's obviously part of your game plan. You've used that tool to increase your game, increase your skills. What other pieces of place, being in it, you're like, hey, this is a no-brainer. You got to be doing this. You got to be doing this. It's kind of one of those things where we all see the availability, but sometimes, as a new place operator, I'm kind of staying in some of the sweet spots right now. And I'm really curious where, guys like yourself are going with this model.
You can't do everything all at once. And when we joined Place, our oldest was just starting college, and he sent me this video it was a TED Talk of somebody that had gone to Harvard or something like that, and talking about how hard it was as an identity, because their identity was they were number one, and now they're surrounded by the valedictorians from everywhere. And so who are they if they're the number one? So if you talk about and I'm like, this is exactly what I'm feeling. I'm like, man, I thought I was doing okay. And not that I thought I was the best at everything, but I'm like, man, I thought we had a lot of things nailed. And then I go on a call and I do something else. And wow, they are doing 40 times more open houses. Their profitability, they're like,
Yes.
I could find ways that I'm failing miserably at every single thing. And I'm just like, oh man, I really suck. And so he and I had talked through that together. And so what I would caution and encourage any place partners, no matter where they are in that process, is to go like, the real power of place is the people. And so you can that if you're feeling judged or lesser than, that's your mental game. We're here to support each other, and I've never been with a group of people that are going to support you like the place partners are. Other people talk about it, place partners really do it. And so why do I go to Founder Circle? Because I want to be the dumbest room in every room. Because if I'm the smartest, I'm not learning anything. Like, I love contributing and helping out. But like I mentioned earlier, like, I suck at almost everything in life. And I'm trying to get a little bit better at least one thing every day. And so when I saw recruiting was there, and I'm like, oh man, I've been meaning to go to that one. That is definitely the muscle that I need to work most. It's the one that I'm least comfortable with, the least secure in. And I'm going to go be uncomfortable and be the dumbest one in that room. And I'm going to learn something, because my family deserves it, because my team deserves it, because I deserve it.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. I think that's what a beautiful thing to be in a room of many people that are better than you. But you're right. If you have your identity tied up and you're comparing, which is easy to do when you're part of the elite room, man, it's the room I want to be in, but it's still the practice of understanding, hey, we're in the process of getting to where we want to go, just like everybody else. And this is our story. And how can we really strengthen each other? And that's what these conversations are about. It's exactly kind of what today's been. And Ryan, you've shared some amazing things. To wrap this up, I like to get a little tactical. Place is heavily laden in growing in technology constantly. I love that. I think that's the future of our industry. I think it's the future in many things. What's a piece of tech that you're like, and I want to be very relevant, maybe this week, this month, or even something maybe you've been doing month after month after month, and it's just normal, but might not be normal to others. What's a piece of place tech that you are really into, and you're using for lead sources or even operations? What comes to mind?
Yeah, all of them are important. So I worked at Best Buy in their corporate store number 1 a long time ago, because they're based in Minnesota. And
Wow.
so you walk in with a 7-year degree and a suit and a resume, and they tell you can work in whatever department you want. At least you could back then. And so I'm like, well, I want to work in the camcorder department, and I know digital cameras and that. And so day one, I learned the difference between a feature and a benefit. So we were just talking about this on our team this last week. So I love the technology. I love the shiny things as much and probably more than most of the people here. And I never lose sight when I'm talking about the shiny things, the difference between a feature and a benefit. The feature is what it does. The benefit is what it does for the person that, is receiving that. And so I don't want to get so focused on the technology and the shiny thing that I'm losing track of why I'm there to begin with. It's only a benefit if we can link what they want with the tools that I have to help them accomplish that. And so the tool lately that I've been working on, I didn't want to be a dinosaur. I've seen lots of transition in real estate where things got digitized and getting websites and like been around doing it a while. And so I never wanted to be that person that had to leave because I didn't become relevant. If I'm going to retire, I want to retire as on top, not as someone who was ushered into the broom closet and just kind of nodding and saying, that's cute. Yeah. So I've been really focused on AI. And Mike Hicks and I have had several conversations about Area Pro. So, we downloaded the Area Pro app as soon as we could. And I remember Mike talking about, well, here's what I do in McDonald's if somebody asks me about the market. Don't get so focused on the tool that you get sucked into the feature when the benefit is being able to find out. So like when Mike says, well, I've got this really great tool. That's a great question. Why do you ask? We want to know the why behind it and not just get so distracted by the what. Oh, I got this super shiny and all the things. And boy, I did a really great job. And I was able to pull it up and gave them the numbers and I gave them the list to sale price. Isn't that great? So did you set an appointment? Did you find out why they were asking the question? Did you find out what was important to them about that? Did you find out what they were going to do, when they were going to do it, what was going to get them to move? And so I love the tools. And Area Pro is one that we've been using a lot, especially with the app. I have been finding ways every single day to integrate it into a plan where I can elevate myself as the professional and not just the amateur.
Wow.
But I am also super focused that I'm making sure I'm focused on the benefit and not just the feature of it.
Wow. That is really great advice. I have nothing to add to that because I think that was well said. And how can we keep our eyes on the boring, which is like, I love getting back to the day in the life. I love getting back to the fact that, hey, we are appointment setting today, but here's our features, here's our benefits we can provide, but it's got to be back to the main thing, which is what we're doing, serving people, serving clients in this industry specifically. Ryan, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you going in, open book style and sharing a lot of the things that you guys are doing. Again, you've been at Place for a number of years, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow this company. Our team, your team. I think that the power in this company is the teams that are collaborating and getting better each day. And you're a perfect example of that, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate the invite, and however we can help be a great partner, let us know.
Great.